Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight Series. My name is Gabriel Moore. I am the senior partner here at Action Coach Vanguard in Central Iowa. Today, I have Omar Jordan, the owner of Coviance, as my guest. We're going to be talking about his business journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations, just like this one. Omar, welcome. Thank you. I'm glad we had a chance to kind of chat prior to the interview, but I'm looking forward to sharing this with the audience. But thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm humbled to be on, and I'm excited to learn more, and hopefully we'll give your audience a piece of what we've experienced, you and I. Sounds like we're both entrepreneurs who are still climbing the mountain, as I'd like to say.
Absolutely. So just to start us off, give me a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about your business.
Personally, I'm just an entrepreneur, as you mentioned, who just loves and thrives on fixing problems, whether it's at home or work or with family. I think it's a syndrome that most entrepreneurs have, and we just can't stop doing it. And we're a fix-it kind of people. But the business Coviance was sort of established for me. It was an idea that I came up with back when post-economic collapse in the 2009, 2010 era, there was this creation of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. And what that did is created, like think as a manual that's extremely complicated initially for a lot of banks and credit unions to operate under if they want to originate loans. And so that was my opportunity to go, okay, I've got the relationship. I understand the industry. I know technology. Let's create something that brings relief to our credit unions across the industry or across the country alongside banks. And I think that's the idea initially to aggregate a lot of those solutions into a platform and then give it back to lenders so that they can lend, home loans, home equity loans, real estate loans a lot faster in this new environment of a highly regulated environment.
That's outstanding. And when you say you kind of the book that you're speaking of was like a rule book, a new rule book on how to manage that.
Yeah, it's pretty much that, anybody can Google it. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, it's a government body that basically governs lenders, banks, community banks, credit unions. You hear about Wells Fargo paying a settlement for $61 million. Well, that's the governing body that comes in and says, okay, they audit banks and credit unions, and they say you did a good job or you didn't, and if you didn't, you're fine. And so if you think about it, you and I here are in Des Moines, Iowa. In West Des Moines, there's massive buildings that have Wells Fargo on it.
Yeah.
And one of those buildings has an entire floor of nothing but attorney, compliance officers, people that can navigate the environment of
Yeah.
regulatory environment. But if you look at maybe a small town bank or a community credit union, they don't have the access to understand an entire regulatory environment that they're about to enter to. Now, that's back in 2009, 2010. So that's when you come in with an idea like back then it was called Lender Close. Today it's Coviance, and we can touch on that later. But back then, Lender Close came in and provided some level of relief, and basically breaking down what do you do when you originate a real estate loan.
Wow. And you brought up how that kind of gave you the idea of how to do that just based on your background. With entrepreneurship and business ownership, one of the things that we touch on so often is systems, right? Or
Yeah.
systemizing something. And it seems like you came up with a system, you built a system that was going to basically make these things easy, right? We try to make it
Yep.
easy. And that became what's known
Yeah.
as the Coviance today, correct?
It is, and it's funny you say that because I want to make sure people hear this. It's not about how much money you put into technology initially, because if I showed you the technology we had back then, it was literally a website to allow our customers to log into, place the order. On the back end of that, I was the one who's placing manual orders from our suppliers and then feeding it back to them because it was a proof of concept. So I knocked some doors. I had meetings. I said, this is what we do. This is how we do it. We're always transparent. We provide, fast service. This is the solution we do. Over time, you're like, oh, I got 25 customers. Let me go hire my first developer to do XYZ for us. I got 50 more customers. Let me go hire 3 more people to do more for us, right? And then you start to put a ton of money into it. So an entrepreneur doesn't have to have a tremendous amount of investment to start something. If you have an idea, you can certainly start small and get it to a level where Coviance is, and even bigger.
I love it. Your resources are time, energy, and money, right? And
Yes.
basically, when you didn't have the money, you capitalized on time and energy, and you just used it.
Yep. And luckily back then I didn't have kids, right? And now I do. And so I'm able to work 18, 20-hour days and not see the kids. But I still work a lot of hours today, just not I was able to now hire a team to help me take the company to the next evolution of where the company is. But you've got to start somewhere. And initially, I remember I was looking at some tax returns when I first started my first company back in 2009.
Yeah.
I was probably making under the poverty line in how much I took home. Everything was going back into the business. So it is a struggle. It's certainly a grind for the first 3 years, I would say, until I started to see some level of, okay, I can pay the lights bill for me personally.
Right. No, it's business, and some people don't realize how difficult that can be. You touched on working hours, and actually one of my questions for you is, when you look at your role currently and how many hours you're putting into the business now, and how many hours are you putting in the business, i.e., whatever role is in your business, whether it be CEO, management, anything like that, how many are on the business, strategic planning, growth of the business, those kinds of things? What does that
Yeah,
look
it's
like?
funny. Going back to the beginning, I am the CEO, the founder.
Right.
So early on, I was the CEO, the CFO, the tester, the developer, the chief
All
marketing
that.
officer, the salesperson. So I had to play these different hats, and I was putting a tremendous amount of hours working in the business rather than working on the business.
Right.
And so as the company matures and you start to able to afford to bring on talent that's going to be as smart as you are or smarter, and everybody on my team is smarter than I am, you start to then step back. I'm not into the day-to-day necessarily. I've got an HR manager, I've got a chief revenue officer, I've got a chief operating officer, VP of product, VP of this and that. Uh, I'm now probably about a good 80+% of my time is working on the business rather than in the business. And it's a great place to be. Although uh, being an entrepreneur, I miss the grind. I put me on the phone. I want to sell something. There's just that hunger to just check that off the box. And so it's an addiction, all right? It's an
It's
addiction that we have.
100% addiction is
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And but we've got so much responsibility, especially in the early days when you're all those roles, you've got all that responsibility to make sure all those things are happening. You're no longer one task oriented or one system oriented. You've got all of these systems that you have to manage.
Yes.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's bravo, sir. A lot
But
of
it comes down to the team, right? That's Gabriel.
oh, yeah,
That's the magic part of it is the people you recruit, you hire, you have around you. Early on, I couldn't afford that, right? I was hiring talent that required me to be present constantly to give direction. Now
right.
it's funny. My team tells me, "This is what you wear. This is what you do. This is what you say. This is how you say it," right? And again, it's a good place to be. Uh,
That's great.
it's a balance.
Just a reminder to the boss. Hey, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
Great. What a great place to be, surrounded by counselors and advisors. And
Right.
that's
Right.
so what is one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
Well, I mean, our audience is a little different. So we're a B2B platform, right? We work primarily with banks and credit unions. What I wish most people understood about real estate lending is how complicated it is, and at the same time, how complicated it's not. So for the average borrower, you and me, if I didn't know any better, I'd go to a bank and credit union, apply for a home equity loan or home equity line of credit. And
Right.
it's normal, we're conditioned, you and I, to think, oh, it takes 30 to 45 days for me to get approved. But what we've done, our technology has done, is broke down the compliance aspect of what lending and how lending should be done injected automation into it, and we can now take an experience from application into a home equity loan to clear to close, meaning the loan officer can now schedule a closing within 72 hours or less. So we've taken away all these unnecessary steps and made up regulations that banks and credit unions have historically put in place,
Yeah.
because that's just the industry standard for a government-backed mortgage like the FHA, like the VA type loan. But if you're doing a home equity loan, they're really fast. These are mortgage loans that need to be underwritten like a consumer loan. So what I want the audience and or the greater consumer to know is that if your bank and credit union is saying it takes 30, 45 days to originate a home equity loan, that's not the case. That's their process, and there may be lack of attention for the need to revisit that process and they make sure they have the right technology stack to run a really streamlined home equity loan program.
With you've been in business now since that, well, it changed over in 2015, is that right?
Yeah, so I, again, it was an idea that I had. I started Lender Close in 2012, technically. It was, again, a hobby outside of my desk. Before that, I had 4 companies running at the same time. And, there's a work smart versus work hard type mentality that I went through, and then just ended up selling everything and just laser focus on Lender Close, which is now.
I may or may not have done the same thing. This is
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Really, yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Well, the reason why I even brought it up is so that's been, 10, 12 years now. Okay. And we've got, I would imagine by this time, as many employees as you currently have, that you kind of nailed marketing. And when we talk to new businesses, old businesses, whomever we're talking to, we really focus on marketing, and we try to teach all of our business owners how to professionally buy lifetime customers, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always curious what successful businesses are doing. What percentage of your monthly sales typically is invested into your marketing budget?
Well, that's a great question. And I think you said that I've nailed marketing, and the answer is I wish, right? That is our biggest opportunity, and every business's biggest opportunity is the go-to-market strategy, the messaging behind what you do, and being able to say what they're. And it's very, very hard when you're also selling technology, right? If I'm selling a physical product that's tangible, but I'm selling something that people can't see, they have to wait for the results, right? And the data points. And so I think we at Coviance have a tremendous amount of time and effort to spend into and resources and money into marketing. Our biggest opportunity, I feel, for us is, and most people don't know, there's a big difference between marketing and product marketing. And once an entrepreneur understands that there are two different pillars, then it starts to become easy. What's hard is, how do you find the talent to do a really good job in telling the story of the product versus marketing the brand? And we have a tremendous opportunity. I feel the brand, we've done an okay job. I'd give us maybe a 8 out of 10. But here in this, for us, we have a tremendous amount of opportunity and investment to make.
That's outstanding. And so when it comes to marketing, how are you? So you're currently working on marketing to like new clients and things like that for new business. We look at it in 3 different ways. At least I look at it in 3 different ways. You want to market to your new clients for new business.
Yep.
You want to market to your current clients to retain business, right? I mean, there's nothing to say somebody can't come in and try to outsell you without you even knowing about it.
Or expand share of wallet. Right.
Yeah. If you're not on top of that, then it's your loss, right?
Yes.
A lot of people, a lot of companies, business owners, they do not invest in retention marketing, and that's such a huge opportunity. And then the last is marketing to your team. And
yes, very true.
Marketing to your team is part of that budget where you want that enrollment, that loyalty.
Yep.
And so how does that play right now? Is that something that you're currently doing, or is it something that you're working on? What does that look like?
No, that's a really good point. We have all these elements in place, and so we've got We've got our new business team, right, that works directly with our director of marketing. We have our product marketing team that works internally. Sort of think about it as sales enablement, right? Product marketing slash sales enablement. And then and I get excited when you talk about current customers, because we're not only investing in actual marketing content in our current customers.
Right.
Any business I create going forward is going to have what we call relationship management. And so every set group of customers have a relationship manager that is required to touch base with them, stay ahead of any issues, whining and dining, whatever it is that needs to happen so that we have a great relationship and we're heavily integrated into understanding what our customers thinking about going forward in the future, and then two, what problems they're facing today, so that we can start to solution around it, alongside our current program. So if it's lending related, we want to know where are
Prior
you.
to them jumping ship, right? I mean,
Correct. You need to know where are they spending their dollars, and I want those dollars at Coviance.
yeah. And so speaking of that, speaking of, having different management teams in place for different sectors of clients or however you're doing that, but what kind of KPIs are you using? Are you using KPIs for your team, for the roles inside of your business? Are you purchasing specific things, or is it kind of just please do a good job? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, no, there's definitely KPIs. Again, it's nothing that I would have come up on my own. You got to remember, I have smarter people than me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just an entrepreneur with a desire to create stuff and sell it. But luckily, again, you bring in that talent, has done this before and been able to scale companies, and then they bring those, here are the KPIs we want to measure. And it's a constant debate too. It's a constant debate and an ongoing debate as to what KPIs we need to measure. And then that changes every year because of the business objective change. This year our focus is to maybe be cash flow positive. Well, last year maybe our focus was to bring long-term agreements, right? And so you create KPIs that and then reward the behavior that you're after. And I think again, it's an ongoing debate here internally, and that's maybe part of the fun. At the same time, why I take blood pressure pills.
Yeah, it's part of the fun, part of the suffering. Remember,
Right.
there wouldn't be fun if there wasn't suffering, Omar. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have a little taste of it all, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So okay, we spent a lot of time on the business. This has been some good stuff. Why did you choose to go into business for yourself? Why didn't you just go work for someone else?
I tried. So I was a branch manager for a top 3 bank before the financial collapse of 2009.
Sure.
I don't have an MBA. I don't have a bachelor's degree. I'm a high school dropout who's really, just good at building relationships, talking to folks, transparent type of guy. And so I'm really good at making a connection with someone. And I remember going to another top 5 bank at the time, and I interviewed there, and the guy says, "You'll never be a manager here. You will never be a manager here because you don't have a college degree." And I had a choice. I either go to college, spend 2 years on the hopes that I would be accepted into corporate America, right?
Yeah.
Accepted, please accept me. Or say, the heck with this, I'm done. I cashed out my 401k, started my first company. We did background checks, and then another company. But what really motivated me and inspired me to keep going was my first company that I started. Some guy walked in and he goes, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Are you interested in selling that business to me?" And I didn't even know that was a thing. What do you mean sell the business to you? So he made me an offer. I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." I took that money and I bought another business, and I took that business to, another level. And then that one got acquired. And so we've been, again, it's an addiction. Growth is an addiction, and it's fun. And I just like doing it. I don't know why.
I appreciate your authenticity in regards to your education. The reason why I say that is because I too am in that space. I too am not a dropout, but high school graduate only.
Yeah.
However, but I'm also a lifelong learner, and I can tell you that a lot of college students out there, doctorates, are not lifelong learners, and so No matter what, as long as you're continuing to learn like you're doing, then it really doesn't matter what the degree is.
100%.
It just matters what you learn and what you take away from that learning.
And I applied that to how we recruit here. It doesn't matter what your educational background is. If you're
Go. Let's
qualified,
go.
you're going to do the job. I assure you, and I don't know, and I don't care. There's probably a dozen MBAs working for us here, and they're doing a great job, and I don't even know it. I respect them just the same as the high school dropouts.
Oh, well done, Omar. Well done, man. I appreciate that for everybody, for you, for me, for everyone. I
Of
appreciate that.
course.
All right, so we're kind of running out of time here, so I want to jump to our last section here. We've covered a lot of ground in our conversation, but for those who are watching, I highly encourage you to save this and come back a few times for an additional watch. Lots of really great nuggets. But as we begin to wrap up, Omar, I got a few rapid fire questions, kind of quick top head answers for each one of these, either one word or one sentence, if that's all right.
Sure.
Awesome. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. What is the key to success for you?
I think staying the course is very important, and surrounding myself with very talented people that care about me and the mission.
I love that. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Run. I'm kidding. I think I would say, don't listen to the negative noise. Everyone around you is going to tell you what your friends and family will tell you what you want to hear, and sometimes they'll tell you everything that's wrong with your idea. And so, just don't listen to the noise. And if you believe in something, go for
And run.
it. Run is the kidding part.
What is one book you're reading now or have read most recently?
It's funny. I have a severe case of ADHD, so I don't know if that's an entrepreneurial thing or what, but I can't tend to focus. But I'm a podcast or a motivational speaker, kind of cheesy type of guy, and so on my way here this morning, I was listening to Les Brown. I don't know if you know him, just a old timer motivation speaker. And I think the headline there was, "It's time to get over it." Right? I just like those things every now and then when I have a problem I'm dealing with. I just want to listen to something to just think about it differently. And so, it's time to get over it. Les Brown. I think that's the listen up podcast. It's a good 30 minutes.
Les Brown, he says you got to be hungry. Is that
Yeah.
Brown? You got to be
Oh my
hungry.
gosh. If you're not hungry enough, you're not going to do it. I,
Add it
t
up.
I tell that to my daughters all the time. They want to play soccer. Okay, go play outside. Show me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, prove it.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
had to choose only one area of your business you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would it be?
Oh boy. Every stage of the business, and you'll learn this as an entrepreneur, and I'm still learning it too because I haven't accomplished every milestone I want to accomplish. Every stage of the business comes with a different set of problems. No matter how successful or unsuccessful you are, I am excited about what we're working on. I think there's a lot of positive things that are happening, and we're looking at things differently. We want to be different in how we approach technology and lending. And I think just the enthusiasm that my people, my team has in Coviance, and the fact that we can get everyone to rally behind our mission, that's so exciting. And I just keep doing more in that and investing more in that. Your people is your number one asset. And I didn't understand that until probably, we started to double in size year over year. Your people are your number one asset.
Wow. Good advice. Before we get into the final question of the day, Omar, how can others learn more about you or Coviance? How can they get in contact?
Reach out. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, pretty active. Please reach out to me directly, coviance.com or ojordan@coviance. But LinkedIn is a pretty good spot for us to connect with just not only me and including the team.
Awesome. And last question of the day. What is the most inspiring to you today?
Every day, probably my kids, all four girls. And while I'm bald because of them, I do this just for them. And so certainly my family, and if it wasn't for the people around me here at Coviance, I wouldn't be here every day.
That's outstanding. As we wrap up, Omar, I just want to say thank you. This has been an amazing spotlight on your journey, not just as a business, but as an owner as well. And I can relate with a lot of the things that you said. I'm deeply grateful that you allowed me to look under the hood with you and learn little bit more about your business. Definitely looking forward to seeing what you can do later. That's for sure.
Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. This has been the Business Owner Spotlight with Omar Jordan, the owner of Coviance, and your host, me, Gabriel Moore, with Action Coach Business Coaching. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.